1 month after the reality crisis, Sarah stood before the newly formed Earth Centauri Coalition Council. The grand meeting hall was packed with humans and aliens alike, a sight that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. The High Command's leadership has been removed, she announced, her glow steady and bright. Those responsible for the reality weapon project are facing justice on both our worlds. In the front row, James watched proudly. He'd spent the last month helping bridge the gap between humans and Centauri, using his knowledge from defense tech to help both species understand each other better. But our work isn't finished, Sarah continued. The Drachnids are still out there. Other threats may emerge. Earth and Centauri need each other now more than ever. The council members murmured in agreement. Sarah had become a symbol of hope, the spy who chose love over duty and saved 2 worlds in the process. After the meeting, Sarah found James waiting in their favorite coffee shop, the same one where they'd first met, though this time she didn't order 17 cappuccinos. "How does it feel?" he asked as she sat down. "Being the hero instead of the spy." "Strange," Sarah admitted, her skin shimming slightly. "But good, though some humans still stare when I glow." "That's because you're beautiful," James said, making her glow brighter. Their quiet moment was interrupted by Sarah's communication device, now officially sanctioned by both governments. "Report from the quantum research team," she read. "They'd found a way to stabilize the tears in reality. All timelines are secure." "Good," James nodded. "One less thing to worry about." "There's more," Sarah continued. "They want us to lead the first joint Earth-Centauri exploration mission. Something about our unique perspective on interspecies cooperation." James grinned. "You mean they want to send the alien spy and human analyst who fell in love to make first contact with other species? What could go wrong?" "Everything," Sarah laughed. "But we'd face it together." Suddenly, their devices buzzed simultaneously, a priority alert. A new ship had appeared at the edge of the solar system. Unknown origin. "Here we go again," James sighed, but he was smiling. Sarah stood, offering him her glowing hand. "Ready to save the world again, Mr. Chen." "Always, Agent Sarah," he took her hand. "But this time, let's try not to break reality." As they headed out to face whatever new adventure awaited them, Sarah reflected on how much had changed. She'd come to Earth looking for military secrets, but found something far more valuable. A love that transcended species, a cause worth fighting for, and a home between 2 worlds. Behind them, a young human child pointed at Sarah's glowing form. Instead of hiding it, she waved, making her skin pulse with rainbow colors. The child laughed in delight. "You're getting better at being yourself," James observed. "I had a good teacher," Sarah replied. "You showed me that sometimes the best disguise is no disguise at all." Their devices buzzed again. The unknown ship was moving closer. Earth's defense systems were activating. The Centauri fleet was mobilizing. Sarah and James shared a look. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The spy who learned to love, and the human who taught her how. Their story had become legend on 2 worlds, proof that the heart knows no species, and that love could indeed save reality itself. "One more question before we go save the universe," James said as they reached their transport. "Do you still think puppies are inefficient life forms?" Sarah's laugh lit up the entire street. "No, but I still think 17 cappuccinos was a perfectly reasonable first impression." The transport activated, whisking them toward their next adventure. Behind them, Earth and Centauri ships rose together into the sunset, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. Some said it was the end of an era, but for Sarah and James, it was just the beginning. Earth's military forces arrived to find a scene they weren't prepared for. Humans and aliens working together to save reality itself. Sarah, James, and the 3 Centauri agents had barricaded themselves in the control room, trying to prevent the computer core from falling into the wrong hands. "They're not going to believe us," one of the Centauri agents said as heavy boots thundered down the hallway. They have to, Sarah replied, her glow pulsing weakly. Reality is literally falling apart. Outside the window, the sky had turned strange colors. Some people were seeing different versions of the same events, a side effect of the reality weapons testing. Cars appeared and disappeared on the roads below. Buildings shifted between different architectural styles. The door burst open. Armed soldiers poured in, followed by a familiar face that made Sarah's heart stop. "General Richards," James said coldly. "Mr. Chen," the general nodded, then looked at Sarah and the others and Terry. "I see our little secret is out." "You knew," James accused. "You knew about the aliens all along. You're working with the Centauri High Command." "Of course I knew." Richards smiled. "Who do you think gave them the quantum research they needed? War is profitable, son, for both sides." Sarah stepped forward, holding up the computer core. "This contains proof of everything. The conspiracy, the weapon, how you're tearing reality apart. The world needs to know." "The world won't know anything," Richards said, "because soon reality itself will be whatever we say it is." He pulled out a device that made Sarah's skin crawl, a prototype of the reality weapon. "Sir," one of the soldiers spoke up, looking confused. "I'm seeing multiple versions of this room. Which one is real?" "That's the beauty of it," Richards grinned. "Soon, they all will be, or none of them. We'll decide." "No," Sarah said firmly. She looked at James, who nodded. They had planned for this. James hit a button on his phone. Every screen in the facility lit up, broadcasting security footage, classified documents and data from the computer core, not just to the building, but to every connected device in the country. "What have you done?" Richards roared. "Save the truth," James said. "Even if you rewrite reality, people will remember. The footage is everywhere now." Richards raised the prototype weapon. "Then I'll rewrite you first." Several things happened at once. The soldiers, seeing the truth on the screens, turned their weapons on Richards. The Centauri agents created an energy shield around everyone. And Sarah, drawing on her last reserves of strength, released a pulse of pure Centauri energy. The prototype weapon overloaded in Richards' hands. Reality rippled, then snapped back like a rubber band. The strange colors in the sky vanished. The multiple versions of events merged back into one true timeline. "It's done," Sarah whispered, then collapsed into James's arms. "Arrest him," one of the soldiers ordered, pointing at Richards. "For treason against, well, everything." As they led the general away, Sarah looked up at James. "The High Command will still try to continue their plan. This isn't over." "No," James agreed, helping her stand. "But now Earth knows the truth, and we have allies." He nodded at the Centauri agents, who bowed in response. Sarah's communication device buzzed one last time. A message from her former handler. "The High Command will not forget this betrayal." Sarah smiled, her glow strengthening as James held her closer. "Good," she said, "because we won't let them forget either." Outside, the sun was setting on a world forever changed. Humans had learned they weren't alone in the universe. The Centauri High Command's plans had been exposed. And in the middle of it all, an alien spy and a human analyst have found something neither of their species had expected: love strong enough to save reality itself. But first, they had one more battle to fight. The explosion of light faded, leaving the control room in ruins. Sarah collapsed to her knees, her glow dimmed to a faint flicker. The Drachnid commander lay unconscious, the computer core rolling from his lifeless claws. "James?" she called out weakly. "Are you okay?" "I'm here." He emerged from behind a fallen panel, slightly singed but alive. "That was incredible. You're incredible." Before Sarah could respond, her communication device crackled to life. The angry voice of her handler filled the room. "Agent Sarah, you have betrayed the Centauri High Command. Your actions at the Earth facility have been observed. Prepare for immediate extraction and punishment." James helped Sarah to her feet. They're going to take you away. Not if I can help it, Sarah said, but her legs were shaking. Using that much power had drained her. James, there's something else you need to know. The Zentari aren't just collecting technology. They're working with corrupt officials in Earth's military. What? Why? To start a war. Both sides would profit from it. The Drachnids just complicated everything by attacking first. She grabbed the computer core. This contains proof of everything. The conspiracy, the weapon they're building, all of it. Suddenly, the air shimmered. 3 Zentari extraction agents materialized, their combat forms glowing with deadly energy. Step away from the human, Agent Sarah, the lead agent commanded. No. Sarah stood her ground, though her glow was still weak. The High Command is lying to everyone. They're going to get both our species killed. Then you leave us no choice. The agents raised their weapons. James jumped in front of Sarah. Wait. Look at this first. He pulled out his phone, quickly typing something. Screens around the room lit up, showing security footage from all over the facility. The footage showed Drachnid ships attacking, but something was wrong. The images flickered, showing different versions of events. In some, the ships fired first. In others, they were responding to attacks from Earth weapons that hadn't been there before. The reality weapon. Sarah gasped. They're already testing it. They're rewriting history as it happens. The Zentari agents lowered their weapons, clearly disturbed. This is impossible, one whispered. The High Command is going to tear reality apart, Sarah explained. They don't care about Earth or Zentari. They just want power. More alarms began to sound. The facility's sensors showed multiple tiers appearing in spacetime around the planet. It's starting, Sarah said. The weapon's effects are spreading. Soon, no one will even remember what really happened here, or anywhere. What can we do? James asked. Sarah looked at the computer core in her hands, then at the Zentari agents. Help me. Help us stop this before both our worlds are destroyed. The High Command has to be exposed. The agents exchanged looks. Finally, the leader spoke. We were sent to extract a traitor. But perhaps we are the ones who have been betrayed. Incoming transmission, a computer announced. Multiple Earth Defense Forces responding to the attack. ETA 3 minutes. Sarah turned to James. When they arrive, they'll find Drachnid attackers, 3 Zentari agents, and me. It won't look good. James took her hand. Then we'll make them listen. Together, we have proof now. Sarah's glow brightened slightly at his touch. She looked at the Zentari agents, who nodded their agreement. Whatever came next, the truth had to be told. Outside, reality itself was starting to unravel. But in that broken control room, humans and Zentari stood together, ready to fight for what was real. The real war was just beginning. The Pacific Research Facility was in chaos when Sarah and James arrived. 3 massive Drachnid warships hung in the sky like dark clouds, their weapons already having torn through the building's outer defenses. How did you get us here so fast? James asked, still dizzy from Sarah's teleportation device. Zentari technology, she replied, pulling off her holographic disguise completely. James stared at her true form. Silvery skin that glowed softly, iridescent tentacle-like hair that moved on its own, and eyes that shifted colors like an aurora. Are you scared? No, James said honestly. You're beautiful. Before Sarah could respond, a massive explosion rocked the facility. Through the smoke, huge reptilian figures emerged, Drachnid soldiers in battle armor. We need to get to the control room, James said. If they're after our research, that's where they'll go. Sarah nodded, pulling out what looked like a small silver pen. Stay behind me. A Drachnid warrior spotted them and charged. Sarah clicked the pen, and a shield of pure energy surrounded them. The Drachnid bounced off it like a rubber ball. Okay, that was cool, James admitted as they ran. They fought their way through the facility. Sarah's Zentari technology, Making short work of the Drachnid forces, James guided them through the maze of corridors, using his security clearance to bypass locked doors. "Why are they really here?" James asked as they ducked behind a wall to avoid plasma fire. Sarah's face darkened. "The research they're stealing. It's not just about defense systems. The Centauri High Command has been collecting technology from multiple species, trying to build something terrible." "What?" "A device that can rewrite reality itself. But they needed human quantum research to complete it. That's why I was sent here." Sarah looked ashamed. "I'm so sorry, James." "Hey," James touched her glowing cheek. "You're here now, fighting with us. That's what matters." They finally reached the control room, but they were too late. The main computer core had been ripped out, and a massive Drachnid commander stood holding it. "The final piece," the commander growled in a gravelly voice. "Now both Earth and the Centauri will fall." Sarah stepped forward. "You don't understand what that technology can do. It'll tear reality apart." "That's the point, little spy," the commander laughed. "The Drachnid Empire will rebuild existence in our image." Sarah raised her weapon, but the commander was faster. A blast of energy hit her square in the chest, sending her flying. "Sarah," James caught her before she hit the wall. "I'm okay," she whispered, though her glow was dimming. "But we can't let them take that core." James looked around desperately, then ran to a control panel. "You said Centauri tech affects electronics, right? When you get emotional." "Yes, but..." "Then get emotional." James started typing rapidly. "I'm going to overload the facility's power grid. If you can channel it." Sarah understood. She stood up, letting all her feelings flow. Her guilt about lying to James, her anger at being used by the High Command, and something else, something stronger she felt when she looked at the human who had accepted her completely. Her body began to glow brighter than ever. Electricity crackled around her. The Drachnid commander took a step back. "What are you doing?" Sarah smiled, her eyes blazing with power. "Showing you why you shouldn't mess with Earth, or the people I love." The room exploded with light. Sarah sat in her small apartment, staring at the angry messages from her handler flashing across her holographic display. It had been 3 days since she decided to tell James the truth, but every time she tried, the words stuck in her throat. Another frustrating human response she developed. "Mission status critical," the latest message read. "High Command losing patience. Extract defense codes within 48 hours. Sarah sighed, causing her houseplant to wilt slightly. Centauri emotions tended to affect nearby plant life. She was about to reply when her phone buzzed. A text from James. "Meet me at work today. I want to show you something. J." Her hearts raced. Defense Tech Industries. This was exactly the opportunity she'd been waiting for. So why did she feel so guilty? 2 hours later, Sarah stood in the lobby of the massive Defense Tech building. James met her with his usual warm smile, but today something seemed different. He looked nervous. "Follow me," he said, swiping his badge at a security gate. "There's something you need to see." They took an elevator down, deep underground. Sarah's spy implants were going crazy, detecting advanced security systems everywhere. This was it. She was finally getting access to classified areas. Her handler would be thrilled. The elevator opened into a dimly lit lab. Strange machines hummed along the walls. Sarah's skin began to glow before she could stop it. "I knew it," James said quietly. Sarah froze. "Knew what?" "You're not human." He stepped closer, not afraid, just curious. "I've been watching you." The glowing. "The way electronics malfunction around you when you're upset. How you never get idioms quite right." I can explain." Sarah started, but James held up his hand. "Let me show you something first." He pressed his palm against a scanner. A hidden door slid open, revealing a room filled with alien technology. Sarah gasped. She recognized Centauri devices, along with tech from a dozen other species. Defense tech doesn't just make human defense systems, James explained. We study extraterrestrial technology. We know we're not alone. We've known for years. Sarah's mind raced. This wasn't in any of her briefings. The Centauri High Command thought humans were primitive, isolated. They were wrong. Why are you showing me this? She whispered. Because I trust you. James took her hand. And because I need your help. Someone's been stealing our research. Technology keeps disappearing. At first, we thought it was corporate espionage, but Sarah felt sick. She knew exactly where that stolen tech was going, straight to the Centauri High Command. James eyed. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. James's phone buzzed urgently. There's been a breach, he said, reading the message. Something's attacking our Pacific research facility. Security screens lit up around them. Sarah's blood ran cold. She recognized those ships on the radar. That's impossible, she breathed. The Drachnid Empire was supposed to be dormant for another century. The what? James stared at her. James, I have to tell you something. I'm not a corporate spy. I'm much worse. Sarah's skin was glowing brightly now, her human disguise flickering. I'm a Centauri agent. I was sent to steal your secrets. But those ships up there, they're going to kill everyone in that facility. And it's partly my fault. James was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he said, So, no second date then. Despite everything, Sarah laughed. You're facing an alien invasion, and that's what you're worried about. Well, I really like you, even if you are a space spy. Sarah made her decision. The mission, her loyalty to the High Command, all of it could wait. Right now, Earth needed help. James, if we survive this, I'll explain everything. But first, let me show you what a Centauri can really do. 2 weeks had passed since Sarah's first meeting with James, and her mission was both progressing perfectly and going terribly wrong. They now met for coffee every morning, and he seemed to genuinely enjoy her company. The problem was, she enjoyed his too. Today, they were walking through Pike Place Market after their usual coffee meetup. Sarah's head was spinning with questions about human behavior she'd observed. Why did you say, bless you, when that woman expelled air through her nasal cavity? Sarah asked, trying to sound casual. James looked amused. You mean when she sneezed? It's just polite. Haven't you heard people say that before? Of course I have, Sarah lied. I just find human customs interesting. They passed a pet store, and Sarah stopped dead in her tracks. Through the window, she saw humans cooing over small furry creatures that served no apparent purpose. James, she whispered, why are those humans so excited about these inefficient life forms? You mean the puppies? James laughed. Because they're cute. Don't tell me you've never had a pet. My species, I mean my family, doesn't believe in keeping non-productive organisms for entertainment. James gave her an odd look. Your family sounds intense. Sarah's skin threatened to glow with anxiety. She was slipping up too often. The Centauri High Command would be furious if they knew how careless she was being. Her communication device, disguised as a human phone, buzzed. Speaking of the High Command, she pulled it out and saw a message that made her secondary heart skip. Mission UPDAT. Target's security clearance confirmed. Begin extraction of classified information immediately. Failure will result in immediate recall. Everything okay? James asked, noticing her expression. Yes, Sarah said quickly, shoving the device away. Just work. They stopped at a food stand, and James bought them both something called hot dogs, which Sarah learned contained neither dogs nor excessive heat. You're different from anyone I've ever met, James said suddenly. Sarah nearly choked on her hot dog. Different how? Well, you ask these fascinating questions about things most people take for granted. You look at the world like everything's new and amazing. And sometimes, he hesitated, sometimes you kind of glow. Sarah's blood ran cold. That's ridiculous. Humans don't glow. No, James agreed softly. They don't. Before Sarah could panic properly, a small flying creature, a bird, she remembered, swooped down and stole part of her hot dog. Sarah instinctively released a small electromagnetic pulse, a Centauri defensive reflex. The bird dropped the food and flew away wobbling. "Did you see that?" James asked, eyes wide. "See what?" Sarah said innocently. "The bird just changed its mind." James looked like he wanted to say more, but his phone rang. "Sorry, I need to take this. Work emergency." He stepped away to answer. Sarah used the moment to send a quick message to her handler. "Target suspects anomalies. Request guidance." The response was immediate. "Proceed with mission. Use memory modification device if necessary." Sarah watched James talking on his phone, gesturing animatedly about something. The thought of modifying his memories made her feel sick. Another annoying human response she developed. Why did everything have to be so complicated? On Centauri, relationships were simple. You shared genetic material if compatible, then went your separate ways. No one told jokes about malfunctioning appliances, or bought you hot dogs, or looked at you like you were the most interesting person in the world. Sarah's device buzzed again. Time is running out. Get the defense codes or face consequences. She looked at James, who was walking back toward her with a warm smile, and made a decision that would change both their worlds forever. She was going to tell him the truth. Sarah stood outside the bustling Seattle coffee shop, checking her reflection in the window for the third time. Her holographic camouflage was perfect. Shoulder-length brown hair, green eyes, and what her research suggested was an attractive but approachable human appearance. The fact that her true form had tentacles instead of hair and bioluminescent patches would remain her secret. The target was inside, just as he had been every Monday morning for the past 3 weeks. James Chen, age 28, mid-level systems analyst at Defense Tech Industries. Sarah's mission was simple: seduce him, extract classified information about Earth's defense capabilities, and return to the Centauri High Command. Easy, right? Wrong. Sarah pushed open the door, immediately stumbling over the unexpected step. Several customers looked up, including James. She felt her skin threatening to glow with embarrassment. A Centauri stress response she quickly suppressed. "Are you okay?" a deep voice asked. Sarah looked up to find James standing there, offering his hand. This wasn't part of her carefully planned approach strategy. Her research indicated that human courtship rituals typically began with casual encounters involving hot beverages. "I am experiencing optimal functional status," Sarah replied, then winced. Her human language module needed work. "I mean, yes, I'm fine. Thank you." James smiled, and Sarah noticed how his eyes crinkled at the corners. This detail hadn't been in any of her briefing materials about human facial expressions. "First time here?" he asked. "Is it that obvious?" Sarah accepted his help, noting how warm his hand felt. The research hadn't mentioned that humans ran so hot. "Well, everyone trips on that step their first time. I did too." He gestured toward the counter. "Let me buy you a coffee to make up for our hostile architecture." Sarah panicked. Her mission brief hadn't covered this scenario. "I should purchase my own caffeinated beverage," she said quickly. "It would be inappropriate to accept resources from a stranger." James laughed. "Okay, fair enough. But maybe we could sit together. I'm James." "Sarah," she replied, using her assigned Earth name. And yes, sharing proximity while consuming beverages would be nice. At the counter, Sarah realized she hadn't prepared for ordering. The menu was a chaos of terms: macchiato, frappuccino, cold brew, nitro. None of these had appeared in her basic Earth sustenance training. "I will have." She stared at the menu in desperation. 17 cappuccinos. The barista blinked. 17. James, still nearby, choked on his coffee. "That's ambitious." Sarah felt her cheeks heating up. Another annoying human bodily response she'd acquired. "I meant one. 1 cappuccino. 15 minutes later, they sat at a small table by the window. Sarah was discovering that maintaining human form while managing a hot drink and conversation was surprisingly challenging. Every time James smiled, her concentration slipped slightly. "So what brings you to Seattle?" James asked. "Industrial espionage," Sarah answered truthfully, then quickly added, "That was a joke. I work in data collection." "Really? Me too, kind of. I'm a systems analyst at Defense Tech." "How fascinating," Sarah said, leaning forward with genuine interest. This was going better than expected. "Please tell me all about your work involving Earth's defensive capabilities. I mean, your day-to-day responsibilities." James raised an eyebrow. "You're funny." "Yes," Sarah agreed, though she hadn't been attempting humor. "I am extremely amusing for a human person, which I definitely am." As James laughed again, Sarah felt an unexpected flutter in her secondary cardiac chamber. This was problematic. She was supposed to be gathering intelligence, not enjoying his company. And she certainly wasn't supposed to notice how his laugh made her want to laugh too. This mission, she realized, might be more complicated than anticipated.